It's kind of a rainy, cozy day here, and I spent some of my day working on my resume. Some of these tips might really help you if you are looking to improve your video editing resume. So grab your tea or your coffee and let's cozy on in while we dive into my resume. The first thing you might notice about my resume is probably the color. I have had a purple resume for several years now. I've never gotten a complaint on it or someone saying that they shouldn't make it purple. I say there's a lot of competition out there, and if you can stand out a little bit and you want to do it with color, then by all means go for it. It doesn't take up any space like a profile picture would or like big graphics or anything. I also think it's kind of subtle, so pro tip, if you're going to use color on your resume, opt to either make it a subtle background color like mine is just like a light gradient, or add little pops of color in the headings. Just don't make it too crazy. One thing I like about my resume is how simple and clean it is. I really try not to put too many words on my resume, and as a video editor, I think it is a good decision to keep it pretty basic. I always try to think in the mindset of an employer and what they would be looking for. And usually, like any employer, they're looking for your past work experience, they're looking at maybe skills, education, and they just want to hear a small synopsis of what you did. They don't need to hear every little thing that you did and all your accomplishments. So I would advise keeping it short and sweet on your resume. I also keep it slim in the way of minimal jobs. I don't go back too far. I leave space for 5, maybe 6 max job descriptions or past jobs that I've had. And then I have a separate section for content, which could be sort of miscellaneous. It could be passion projects that I've worked on. My channel is on there. Things that don't really qualify for work experience, but that I like to have on there anyways for separate experience. So pro tip again, if you are not sure how many jobs to feature on your resume, I would really think hard about what the employer really needs to see. When you're first starting out, you might think that you need to show every little thing that is necessary on your resume, and that's nice. I think that it ends up looking busy, and your employer, again, is only looking for a few key things. And in my mind, that entails the job positions that you've worked in the past couple years. How recently did you work them? Are there some key phrases of things that you've done that would appeal to their company? For example, creating weekly videos optimized for social media. That could be a buzzword for a different company if that's what they're looking for. I actually was just working on this resume today, just kind of cleaning up some things and updating some things. And I realized that I had equipment on there back whenever I used to do sound recording. I don't do sound recording anymore. So I decided to nix the equipment, even though it had things like Mac on there. Really not necessary. I don't think anybody really cares what kind of computer I use as long as I'm using Premiere Pro or whatever software that they're looking to also use. Also in my software, I had listed Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, Adobe Illustrator, Google Docs, and Google Sheets. While that might have been necessary in the past to list very specific tools that I was skilled in, as I've grown as a video editor, I've become more confident in my ability. I don't really feel the need to list every single software that I've accomplished. So I am just leaving it clean with Adobe Creative Suite, DaVinci Resolve, Pro Tools. That's all I need to master for my line of work. I also realized I forgot to add my website, which sounds like something I would do. So pro tip, if you have a website, I would definitely encourage you to add it on there. And while I don't have any of my social media handles, I think that that could be beneficial. Especially nowadays, you can link something into a PDF I think that would be super helpful in funneling the employer as they're looking at your resume. If you have links in your PDF, they can easily click them and it will lead to maybe your LinkedIn or your website or your YouTube page. So I would, even though it's not on my resume, I would highly recommend that you look into adding that into your resume. And circling over to content again, I really leave content even smaller than work experience. I don't really need to go too far back to give them a good enough idea that I do content creation outside of my normal work experience. There, of course, are past projects that I could include in there, just like in work experience. There are even jobs that I do now currently that could be in work experience, but I just feel like it's good to keep it clean and to not overload the client. I want to give them just enough of what they're looking for. Pro tip, you should keep your resume to 1 page. While of course it's okay to put it to 2 pages, I just don't feel it's necessary, especially as a video editor. I mean, more than likely you're showing them your work experience through your demo reel or other work samples. There's really no reason to elaborate too much in the resume, so keep it to 1 page. And lastly, in the teeny little corner at the bottom, I have my education. I always keep my education at the very bottom because it doesn't matter. It was a very long time ago compared to the rest of my work experience, so it really has no reason to sit anywhere but down at the very bottom. I recently took Sunny Lenarduzzi's YouTube for Bosses course, and after some thought, I decided to add it on there because as part of my business, I do help channels with their growth in terms of video editing, but also content creation tips in general. So I decided to include it on there. And so pro tip, if you have certified yourself in any additional courses or programs, I think it's important to include it on there as long as it's relevant to the work that you're doing. I think it could be important in making you a more well-rounded candidate for employers to compare you to. Well, since you made it this far, please feel free to hit the like button below and hit subscribe for more tips on video editing, creativity, and freelance lifestyle. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my resume. Please judge away and let me know if there's anything that you are going to take away and put into your resume. And let me know if there's any pro tips that you are going to use in your resume creation, or if you have any improvements that could help mine. Either way, comment below and let's discuss. Again, I'm Colleen and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.